Half a day. My name is Dacia Wiitala, and I work for the CNMI DFW Rota field office as an avian biologist. And I am the principal investigator for the project I will be presenting to you today. Factors influencing nest site selection and nesting success of the Nosaluda or Rota wide-eye. We started our work in August 2020 and are still in the data collection stage of this project. So today I will be presenting background information, the project objectives, methodology, preliminary results, and a brief discussion. The Rota wide-eye is in the family Zosteropidae and is endemic to the island of Rota. The Rota wide-eye was split from other wide-eye species that occur in the Northern Mariana Islands through mitochondrial sequencing work done by Sleekus and Jones in 2000. The other two wide-eye species are shown here. On the left, the Bridled wide-eye, and in the center, the golden wide-eye. The bird on the right is the Rota wide-eye. The species was federally listed in 2004 after experiencing a population decline of 90% from 1982 to 2000. Several researchers have attempted to pinpoint the causes of decline. Some of those theories include habitat loss and alteration in the Sabana region due to typhoon events and agricultural development, predation by the introduced black drongo and rats, and reduction in prey availability in the lowlands due to widespread use of insecticides post-World War II. Since its listing, a federal recovery plan was put into action which set aside Rota wide-eye critical habitat boundaries and set targets for delisting the species. Rota island-wide bird surveys conducted from 1982 to 2012 show the species population rebounded to pre-1982 numbers to around 14,000 individuals in 2012, which is above the threshold for U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service recovery plan objectives. This graph represents the data from Richard Camp's Rota wide-eye population abundance trend analysis from the 2012 Rota island-wide surveys, which were conducted 12 times in the 30-year time frame. The current population estimates are extrapolated from this dataset. Although the population estimate is above the threshold for downlisting of the species, other recovery plan objectives need to be addressed before downlisting or full recovery occurs. The project I am presenting today addresses recovery plan objectives related to habitat availability and impacts of non-native predators on nest success. In August of 2020, we set out to research three main objectives concerning the delisting of the Rota wide-eye. The first of these objectives was to measure nest success. Previous studies have found and monitored Rota wide-eye nests. However, sample sizes were small and results were inconclusive. Our goal was to find and monitor at least 30 Rota wide-eye nests from August 2020 to June 2021. The second objective was to measure the impacts of non-native black drongos and rats on nest success of the Rota wide-eye. We plan to deploy nest cameras at active nests to record the fate of nests and identify nest predators. The black drongo was introduced to Rota from Taiwan in 1935 as a biological control for agricultural pests. Black drongos are known to prey on small songbirds, including wide-eyes, and have been cited as a possible cause for the decline in the species. Rats are unlikely to prey upon adult or fledged Rota wide-eye, but they are suspected nest predators as they are known to predate the nests of other avian species. The third objective is to take nest site habitat measurements combined with landscape variables such as elevation, aspect, habitat type, and configuration that will be derived from existing land cover data layers and develop a predictive model for Rota wide-eye nesting habitat selection. The current distribution of the species is limited to high elevation forest at around 200 meters in elevation in the Sabana area of Rota. Although anecdotal reports indicate that Rota wide-eye historically occurred in lower elevation forests, past studies sufficiently described nest site characteristics However, less information was gathered on site scale characteristics, such as forest structure in the vicinity of the nest, or landscape scale characteristics, such as habitat type, quantity, and the position within the broader landscape. Our research takes place in the savanna area and surrounding mountain slopes of the island of Rota. Rota wide-eye tend to prefer wet, mature limestone forests, and these areas have the most dense concentrations of the species. The blue shaded area on the map indicate Rota wide-eye critical habitat, and the red shaded areas are the locations where we conducted the most intensive nest searching during this study. Nest searching efforts were focused in areas where past researchers had located nests and in areas of public land, or where we had permission from private landowners to access habitat. Nest searching was conducted on average of 4 days a week in the mornings for 3 to 4 hours, and during some afternoons. Once a nest was located, we monitored the nest every 3 days. If the nest was accessible, an extendable pole with a borescope attached were used to confirm contents and to predict fledging dates. I used this map created by Fancy and Snetzinger, showing 3 different classes of Rota wide-eye density within their range to find and plan nest searching locations. To date, we have found and monitored 26 nests. At nests that were in an ideal location for installing cameras, we deployed a Reconyx Hyperfire 2 trail camera set to an action trigger video setting. Over the course of the season, I deployed 12 cameras at 11 active nests. Once a nest was completed, various habitat measurements were taken at each nest within a 10-meter plot. Habitat measurements were also taken at an additional random point plot within the same forest type 100 meters away from the nest point plot. We have taken measurements at 19 of 42 habitat plots. Of the 26 nests found and monitored, 11 had contents, 4 failed, 6 fledged, and 1 had an unknown outcome. I used the Mayfield method to calculate nest success, which is around 58%. However, I don't put much confidence in this figure as the data set is still quite limited at this stage in our research. From our nest searching and monitoring efforts this season, we confirmed that Rota wide-eye occasionally participate in cooperative breeding. Dr. Sarah Faegre reported Rota wide-eye cooperative breeding in the University of Washington's annual report in 2009, and I also witnessed cooperative breeding at 3 separate nests. Each example of cooperative breeding witnessed has been 3 wide-eyes tending to 1 nest. Of the 3 nests I found with 3 adults tending to it, 2 of them successfully fledged. Cooperative breeding has been recorded in other wide-eye species. Of the 12 nest cameras I deployed, none captured predation events at a nest. I personally witnessed a family group of starlings predating a Rota wide-eye nest in which 1 large nestling was predated. Predators were captured on camera 3 times in the vicinity of a nest, and some were recorded checking out the nest. But there is no recorded evidence of predation by those individuals. Weather appeared to be the cause of failure in 2 of the nest camera videos. Rats were captured on film near nests twice. Black drongos were never recorded on the nest cameras. While nest searching, I saw black drongos diving towards wide-eyes, but I never witnessed them predate any. 3 of the nest cameras deployed recorded fledging events. We have just about finished recording all the habitat measurements for the nests that have been found so far. However, we have not begun the process of analysis. We have found nests in most areas we have searched. However, densities of Rota wide-eyes are not quite what we expected. For example, there were far fewer Rota wide-eyes in the Southern Cross area, where past researchers have reported high densities of the species. We have also observed Rota wide-eyes exhibiting breeding behavior in lower elevations than expected at around 150 meters in elevation, which suggests that they may be spreading out beyond their previously restricted area around the top of Mount Sabana. The nest success rate I reported in a previous slide in this presentation is high, but not that different from two previous studies that collected nest success data. For now, I will be looking for the best model for our data set to determine the nest success rate and look forward to analyzing a more robust data set in the future. So far, rats and drongos do not appear to be major nest predators. However, black drongo breeding season is occurring now, and we might start seeing more aggressive and predatory behavior in the next couple of months. Micronesian starlings appear to be a main predator of eggs and nestlings, and other researchers have reported predation by native avian species such as the Mariana crow and the Mariana collared kingfisher. We will continue to collect habitat data and most likely have our model by this September, so look forward to our results next year. Next year, we plan to repeat the whole study to gather a more complete and robust data set. In addition to those objectives, we will also be testing out various trapping techniques and banding a few individuals. One of the options for delisting the species in the recovery plan is to establish a secondary population on another island, which would help insulate the species from a random catastrophic event here on Rota, such as a super typhoon, an avian disease outbreak, or another introduced predator. We will start looking at the feasibility of translocation by first establishing the best practices for trapping and banding the species. We also hope to opportunistically gain more knowledge about the breeding behavior of the Rota wide-eye, such as number of breeding attempts per year, duration of fledgling care, and frequency of cooperative breeding through our banding efforts. Next year, DFW will be conducting the Rota Island-wide survey, which will give us an update on all avian forest bird population numbers, including the Rota wide-eye. Thank you to everyone who helped make this research possible, and for those of you viewing this presentation. I will now take some questions.